Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today should be a bit of a shorter video. I wanted to just talk about the most recent announcement from Blizzard regarding the Shadow Priest tier set bonus. So for anyone who saw my most recent video, or even just read the title, or have even read the tier set bonus yourself, you'll know that the tier set bonus has a lot of issues currently. There was some feedback written by Ellipsis that goes through all of the issues individually and really hammers in, why it's an issue, how it might be addressed, that kind of thing. I'll leave a link to it. It's this article right here, the Priest tier set first impressions. I'll leave a link to that in the description below if you want to see what the real issues are. But I can name a few just bullet points real quick. First off, with the tier set bonus as it was before, we would become less mobile because you'd want to spend more time channeling Mindflay, so that's an issue. We have what Ellipsis calls GCD claustrophobia going on, where you have so many abilities that are worth pressing at a certain time, but you don't have enough globals to press all of those abilities, and this would add to that issue. We also have the issue of having too much insanity generation. In the current state of WoW, we probably don't have too much, but we're probably like right at the limit for how much insanity we would want to be generating. That we can't spend it all during our cooldowns, or at least we can't spend it all optimally, right? So with this tier set bonus, we would get even more insanity generation, especially from these dark thoughts, these additional mind blasts, to the point where we would be crossing that barrier pretty significantly, and we would be spending, you would either overcap on insanity, or you would spend it on devouring plagues that you would rather not spend on that global, that kind of thing, right? So those are just some of the issues. There's other things like the rotation would become very unintuitive. There would be moments where there's like a 0.1% difference in what spell you cast, and there is no clear answer to what you should be pressing, so it wouldn't feel very fun or very intuitive to play. And I think that would be very damaging for the spec for the majority of people who play Shadow Priest, because they would be like, okay, well, most specs, the shiny thing lights up and I press that button kind of thing, right? I have a clear answer to what I want to press on every global, whereas with Shadow, this would make it so that you wouldn't have a clear answer, right? And then there's the other problem where Mindflay is one of our least interesting spells to press. You just stand there and there's a beam coming out of you, right? And you can't move. You have to channel for 4 seconds or something. It's really, really not a fun spell to press. It doesn't feel impactful. It doesn't make you think about anything. It's literally like our filler spell. The only time we cast it currently is when you can not cast anything else, right? You would rather cast anything but Mindflay, and this set bonus, at least how it used to be, would be incentivizing you to cast Mindflay more, and that's something that I at least would like to avoid. So those are some of the issues with the old set bonus, and all of those issues and more were brought up in this article that Ellipsis helped write in this feedback. And it turns out that Blizzard actually, at least is appearing to have heard us, right? So they went ahead and made a blue post where they said, "Greetings, priests." That's us. The shadow bonuses, specifically the 2-piece bonus, are going to undergo some changes based off the feedback provided. The feedback provided, by the way, almost certainly is referring to this article as well as whatever feedback was given on the forums, which there was a huge post written by the Warcraft Priests team that they put on the Blizzard forums to hopefully get their attention. And these guys they're directly saying, hey, we saw that feedback and we're gonna change it. So this is super, super dope. So to start, the 2-piece bonus will move its focus to Devouring Plague. This is very abstract, kind of like overarching idea language. They're not saying, to start, the 2-piece bonus will make Devouring Plague do whatever. They're just saying, we don't want to focus on Mindflay and Dark Thoughts anymore. We want to focus on Devouring Plague. And just from an abstract point of view, this is a good change in my opinion. Dark Thoughts is something that I haven't really felt fit Shadow Priest very well at all. ever, even from like back in 9.0. The only time where Dark Thoughts has been like, okay, I can see why this is alright, is when we were playing Night Fae, Shadowflame Prism, Shadow Priest, and the Dark Thoughts gave you an additional Shadowflame Rift. But even then, it was like, I mean, these legendaries are borrowed power, so it's not really like a Shadow Priest thing. It's more like a Shadowlands Shadow Priest thing. So it's not great for the overall identity of the class, but it definitely worked at the time. But ever since then, really, like, getting a Dark Thoughts proc doesn't bring me any kind of joy. I'm not like, nice, I got a Dark Thoughts proc. I'm like, ugh, now I have to figure out how I'm going to spend this the most optimally, right? And while it is a DPS increase, and I'm grateful that we can do more DPS, that kind of thing, it's just never been something that I've really enjoyed or felt has fit the spec. Whereas Devouring Plague, especially with this new version of Shadow Priest, now that we have Devouring Plague, I think it fits the spec really, really well. It's really, really nice to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to save up this much insanity. I'm going to spend it on this ability that hits like a truck. It does a ton of damage. It feels really good to press. And it gives me additional damage through our mastery to where I can do, if I press this button, not only does it do a lot of damage, but everything else I cast for the next 6 seconds will also do additional damage. And so, yeah, I mean, Devouring Plague has like, Devouring Plague, big time, good Shadow Priest ability. Dark Thoughts, kind of lame. RNG, not super fun to use. Shadow Priest ability. So I'm glad that they're changing the focus of the two-piece from Dark Thoughts to Devouring Plague. So let's continue in their paragraph. As the only spender in the Shadow Priest rotation, which is not true except for in single target, because you've got Searing Nightmare, which is also a spender. And with the abundance of insanity in the Shadow Kit, it seems like a good hook to pivot to. I agree that this is a good hook to pivot to, and it's really interesting that they say with the abundance of insanity, because I'm pretty sure this is not something that they were aware of until it was brought to their attention. The 4-piece will remain largely unchanged, however, so this brings me some worry. Your Shadow will swap their current single target channel for one that favors AoE situations as well. Thank you for the feedback, and we're eager to hear your thoughts on the next iteration. Okay, so first off, I just want to say, I think that opening this channel of communication between the players and the developers, even if there's a miscommunication, like they say, oh, we're going to change it like this. Is this what you want? And it's not what we want. Even if that happens, I think this is overall good. I think it's very good that Blizzard is, at least as of right now, seems like they're starting to listen to player feedback more, because they're, especially as far as I've seen with Shadow Priest feedback, because this is the community that I'm by far the deepest into of any of the World of Warcraft classes or specs. As far as Shadow Priest feedback goes, there have been pages and pages and paragraphs of well-written, logically sound arguments for why things that Blizzard was doing with Shadow Priest were bad, were not fun to play, would drive people away from the spec and make them play other specs, would make the people who are playing the spec currently have a harder time getting into endgame content, all of that thing. And for several years now, it's felt like all of that feedback has fallen on deaf ears. And Blizzard recently has been on this new kick of, hey, we want to start this community council where we have a direct line of communication with people, and we want to start listening to feedback more, and we want to start actually implementing changes that come from that feedback, right? And so just from a very naive, take it as it is standpoint, this is an amazing change. Very, very good job, Blizzard. Very good job. I'm very excited for this. Now, let's talk about some of the issues that I can foresee with how they are planning on changing this. So, quickly, I want to keep this video, pretty short, so I won't go way in depth like usual. But there are some issues that I can see with this. First off, they mentioned the abundance of insanity in the Shadow Kit as their main motivator for swapping the focus of the tier set from Dark Thoughts to Devouring Plague. And I'm not positive how this is going to change or solve this issue, right? So there is one big idea that I have as to what they could change about Devouring Plague with a tier set bonus that would make it start to address this issue of the abundance of insanity. And that would just be Devouring Plague costs at least 50 insanity instead of being always 50 insanity, but you can also spend more on it. So it would be something like Devouring Plague costs at least 50 insanity, but when you press it, it will spend all of your insanity. And the additional insanity above 50 would be contributed to, or converted, into extra damage or something, right? In that case, you could potentially have even more insanity generation and still find, enough time to spend all of it on meaningful stuff, right? Because instead of only spending 50 for X amount of damage from one Devouring Plague, let's say you need to be casting a ton of Void Bolts and Mind Blasts. You're in the middle of your big CD window, and you need to really get that insanity out of there. You'd rather not be spending it on 50 insanity Devouring Plagues over and over. You could potentially have like one Devouring Plague that's 98 insanity or something, spend almost your whole insanity bar, and then free up the next, 4 or 5 globals to generating insanity again with your other abilities that are impactful, Void Bolt or Void Torrent or Mind Blast, that kind of thing. So that's like the only way, and I'm sure there are other ways that it could fix things, and there are other issues that wouldn't fix, right? But that's like the probably the clearest answer in my mind for how they could change Devouring Plague to specifically address the abundance of insanity in the Shadow Kit. So as far as that is concerned, that's my guess for what they would do to change the 2-piece. The problem is, I don't know exactly how they're going to implement it, right? And there are some other issues as well with this change. Specifically, they are directly changing the 2-piece and indirectly changing the 4-piece set bonus. So if, like they say, the 4-piece will remain largely unchanged, then they're saying that it will still spawn from consuming a Dark Thought. And of course, this is, up in the air. Really, we'll know more answers to this like tomorrow when the PTR servers go live and you can actually test these things. But if this is the case, if the Living Shadow still spawns from consuming a Dark Thought, then this 4-set bonus was indirectly nerfed. It's going to be doing less damage than it would have had the 2-set bonus stayed the same, right? So this is something that I really hope that they considered when they heard our feedback and decided, yeah, we're going to change stuff. I hope they didn't just go, oh crap, there's sirens going off, the community really hates the set bonus, let's just change it on a whim. I hope that they thought, okay, well, both of them are focused on Dark Thoughts, and if we change the 2-set, it's going to make the 4-set way less powerful, right? Because you're going to have way fewer chances to consume Dark Thoughts than you would had it stayed the same. So overall, to wrap things up, I'll say, first off, really, really glad that Blizzard is listening to our feedback. I feel very grateful for that, and I look forward to testing this stuff on the PTR and being able to provide more and more informed feedback for them to potentially change things further, right? So good job on that front. Secondly, I hope that they are taking into consideration the implications of the changes that they make. I hope they're not just going, okay, we want to keep everybody happy, so we're willing to change stuff willy-nilly just to say, hey, yeah, we're changing stuff. Look, we're responding to feedback. Can't you see? When really it's like, we would prefer to have, or maybe me personally, maybe I would prefer to have something that is not very fun to play, introduces a lot of issues, but at least it synergizes with itself, right? The 4-set and the 2-set in the past with this old set bonus, at least they synergized, right? The 4-set was directly empowered by the 2-set. So I hope they're taking that into consideration as well. And then, finally, I'll just say that I hope that we can get a really nice set bonus after all of this testing. I hope that we can, work together, Blizzard and us Shadow Priests. I hope we can come to an agreement to a point where we can be like, yeah, this is a sweet Shadow Priest set bonus that we were able to make, and that it can, be impactful and fun to play, and still manage to be interesting and all the things that Blizzard wants it to be. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm super interested to hear everybody else's feedback. I've got a pretty unique perspective, I think, on Shadow Priest. There are many other people who have a lot different ideas than the ones that I have, so I would love to hear those as well in the description, like I said. And if you want to talk more about Shadow Priest, feel free to check the description for a link to my Discord server if you want to come hang out with. I think there's about 500 of us in there now, so if you want to come hang out with us and talk Shadow Priest, feel free. Usually when things like this go live, I'll go in my Discord server and we'll be chatting like crazy, and then I'll eventually make a video about it. So if you do want to be on like the cutting edge of what we have to say about this kind of stuff, then yeah, feel free to join my Discord server. Other than that, if you liked the video, make sure you click the like button. If you really liked it, feel free to subscribe, maybe share it with your Shadow Priest friends, that kind of thing. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!